beautiful.
Beautiful, exactly.
I remember you talking to me about how many ladies have reached out to you about how it's physically impossible for people to have marriages where both partners do 50-50. There always seems to be an imbalance. I have had the pleasure of getting to know you and Lucky, and I know that you guys have a very good balance. There's a really great understanding. He's very supportive in the things that you do, as are you with everything that he does. How did you guys come about gaining that balance? And I know that you were in a relationship prior to this marriage where there was almost no balance. That.
Yeah, definitely. I'm gonna start off with the previous relationship. It was like a 7 year relationship. We started dating when I was 19 and he was like 25, 26. So he was always 6 years older than me. And from the beginning, there was red flags. There was red flags, but it was like I was so naive. I was young. I was just like, okay, like at that time, like you're like into like those bad boys who like I don't know. I at the end of the day, that's what I was into and that's what I liked. And so, okay, like I was just like, okay, whatever, like I can work with it. But as we progressed, it just started going just downhill from there. He was very possessive. He was very controlling. He was verbally abusive. He was physically abusive. Mentally abusive. Like the amount of shit that I went through with this guy. There are times where we can just talk about anything. We'll just have a civil conversation. And I will say one thing and somehow it irritates him. It irritates him and then it'll turn into a fight. And then automatically he'll start cursing me. He doesn't even curse me in English. He'll start cursing me in Tamil, really, really Tamil word, like bad word.
10 times worse, don't you
It's
feel?
100 times worse, okay?
Yeah.
You just feel like so disgusted about yourself. You feel disgusted about the person. It was too much. And eventually, one of his problems was obviously like he was an alcoholic and he had anger issues. And he knew it too, but he never wanted to work on it. And it was one of those things that he was the type of, I don't want to say this, but I have to say it. He was the typical Tamil guy, okay?
Yeah.
The one where they had the very narrow-minded, like, oh, you have to dress a certain way. You would have to cook for me. You can't talk to certain guys. You can't do this. You can't do that. That's the type of guy that I was with. And it was like that for a whole 7 years. And I never had that 50-50. Like, I never felt equal to him, nothing, because he never made me feel that way. If anything, he made me feel like I was that trash under his foot. And it was really bad. And eventually down the road, I got out. I did get out, and it was a breath of fresh air. It was like I was released from prison. I am not joking. That's how I felt, because I remember when I did get out, I did go back. And when I went back for that 2 weeks is when I realized, shit, this is not for me. This is not who I am. Like I'm a free bird, I'm an independent woman. That's how my mom raised me. And where did I lose that along the line? Like, where did I lose it? And I can't let this man contain me. Like I can't. Anyways, when I started talking to Lucky, there was just a lot of qualities I saw in him where it was just the way his parents raised him. Like, treat women with respect. Me coming out of an abusive relationship like that, I had my insecurities. I had my problems. I had my issues. Lucky used to tell me that I was like that abused puppy that came from like an abused home, like a really terrible home, and he rescued me. And I'm still learning to like kind of get along into this world. And I remember him telling me, he's just like, it took me time to actually like get to like really know you, like get a help you open up, like, and it took me forever. And during that time, like I would start fights for no reason with Lucky, just to test him, to see if he would, stick around, or if he would actually care for me still, or if he would just get up and leave. I just wanted to know, because he was too good to be true. Like, I never went for the whole nice guy. It was too good to be true. And eventually I was testing him too much, and he was kind of fed up. Like, he was just like, I'm here for you, but you gotta let me in. And I didn't. And so obviously we kind of stopped talking. But then I realized, like, okay, like, I want this guy. Like, what am I doing? Why am I being so stupid? And I eventually obviously apologized to him, and I was just like, I do love you. I do care for you, and I do want to be with you. Just, like, work with me, and I promise I'll work with you. And I just remember, I'm like, the first thing I asked him when we started dating was, will you, no, will you ever care how I dress? Because I remember, like, there's certain clothes that I would wear with my ex, he wouldn't like, right? And then he was like, why would I care how you dress? If anything, I'd say you're beautiful. I'd say you're sexy because you are a sexy girl and you can dress however you want, and then I'm just like, I'm not saying that I'm going to go, like, outside with an underwear and a bra, but
Yeah.
he made sure that I felt comfortable in my body, and I felt good enough so I can just be myself. And and I just want to say, it's not 50-50, okay? 50-50 meaning, because Lucky will only give 50% of himself, I will only give 50% of myself. It's 100%. Lucky gave 100% of himself. I gave 100% of himself.
I
And
love that.
and that's why we were able to work. Because no matter what, if I'm going through something, Lucky can look at my face and he will know, babe, something's not right. Talk to me. And it's not one of those things where I'm just like, I don't want to talk to you right now. I'll talk to you later. Like, it was like, it's one of those things that I will open up. I will literally cry my eyes out and be like, babe, this is what I'm going through. I need you to help me. I don't know what to do, blah, blah, blah. And he'll sit there. He'll sit there and be like, let's figure this out. And it's the same thing for me with him, and even when it's financial stuff, like every other relationship, we've gone through our financial hurdles, but we never take it out on each other. We talk about it. We do a list and go through our finances, and we sit there and be like, okay, this is how much money we need for this. I don't know if we can actually use money for that. Maybe we stop spending on this. Like, we go through it and we'll just be like, okay, this is what we're going to do. This is our plan, and this is our long-term goal. And that's the type of relationship everyone needs, where you can communicate, because communication and putting your 100% in is the most important thing to have that strong, secure relationship.
I think that's brilliant. 100 to 100. That is the best ratio. And I think it's a two-way street. I think that sometimes guys get a bad rep for being really shitty in relationships and girls having to put up with them, but it's both ways. And I think in this regard, I think Lucky had to spend a lot of time nursing you back, because you had gone through such a bad relationship and you had a lot of trust issues. I want to point out, for those of you listening, Sindu was actually engaged in her previous relationship, and all the vendors, venues, services for the wedding had actually already been booked. And fortunately, things came to an end and everything had to be cancelled. Because I know there are a lot of people out there in very bad relationships, bad engagements, bad marriages, and they feel a pressure now that you're engaged or now that you're married. You've got to stick it out because you're worried about what the community is going to say, or you feel like you've spent so many years with this particular individual,
Yeah.
you almost believe that there is going to be nobody else that's going to love you or care for you, or like it's hard for you to imagine outside of the box of what you've been accustomed to.
Yeah.
And because you've been in that relationship for 7 years and you had gotten engaged and you were on the track to getting married, how did you come to that understanding that, you know what, there is a life for me out there and I can lead this?
So like you mentioned, I was engaged, and stupid enough, like, I'm the one who put all the deposits. I financially, there was a loss for me, but I remember when I was driving one day and I got a call from my friend who is the wife of our that time videographer. And she's telling me, hey, I just got this weird email from your ex saying that, like, the wedding has been called off. If you have any questions or concerns, please contact Sindu. And he CC'd me on it. And I remember driving and I was like literally shaking, and I'm just like, okay, okay, Sindu, just calm down. And my friend was like, okay, Sindu, you need to pull over and you need to just talk to me. And I pull over and I tell her, I'm like, I had no idea. I had no idea. Can you believe the guy that I've been with for 7 years, gave my whole heart and soul, didn't even have the audacity to even call me and tell me, or even text me. He sees me on it and thinks that I'm going to see the email, but I'm getting a call from somebody else and they're telling me, hey, your wedding is off. So anyways, long story short, here I am. I'm like, oh my God, the whole world knows. Okay, his family, my family, people from Denmark, people from Switzerland, people from Sri Lanka, everyone knows. And my reputation's on the line, but more than that, my parents' reputation's on the line. Okay, who cares about, this is what I'm thinking in my head, who cares about the times that he beat me or whatever? I need to work this out. I need to figure it out because I can't, it wasn't even about love anymore. It was about reputation, like, you know? And so I remember, like, I went home, I was crying hysterically, and my mom obviously came upstairs and she was just like, what's wrong? Like, tell me what's wrong. And I remember I was having a panic attack and she was just like, okay, breathe, just tell me what happened. So I told her what happened and I even showed her the email and she sat there and I remember she just like, she went through my hair like this and she's like, Sindu, this is a blessing. And because she's been telling me since day one to leave this relationship because of she's seen it all, okay? Yeah. And she's like, Sindu, this is a blessing. And I'm like, how is this a blessing? You're going to be so humiliated. Puppy, my dad, Puppy's going to be humiliated. He won't even talk to me anymore. And she's like, you think Puppy will be humiliated once he finds out what this guy's been doing to you? You think that's going to happen? No. Sindu, this is your perfect time to get out. This is the perfect time to get out. I don't know how many times I have told you in the past, but this is a blessing from God. Take it and leave. And I literally sat there and I was just like, okay, maybe she's right. Like, you know, why is this happening to me? Why am I going through this right now? And obviously we haven't talked for 2-3 months. So since then we didn't talk for 2-3 months. Swarnaa, those 2-3 months were like the best 2 months of my life. I didn't have to be worried about not answering his calls right on time. I didn't have to worry about stepping out the door and him saying, hey, where are you? Or I didn't have to worry about, like, you know, me being on the phone with a friend, a girlfriend that is, and then if he calls me and I don't pick up right away, I didn't have to worry about that. None of that. For 2 months, I was so, like, I was blessed from God, okay? I was literally blessed from God. And I just remember that when I did end up going back to him, I was just like, this is not for me. And I told him, I'm like, I am so happy that you didn't talk to me for 2 months because you didn't try, you didn't care, you didn't give a shit. You didn't care about the 7 years that we went through. You didn't care that I lost money. You didn't care about any of that. And I'm so happy that you didn't talk to me for 2 months because it is then I realized that you were not the one for me and I deserve better. And I am better than you. I literally said, I am better than you and I don't deserve this in my life. And to anyone that is going through this, who is in relationships that are dealing with this or are about to get married, that in abusive relationships, you guys can get out. I'm telling you, you can. You just need the support. You need the support. You need people that will encourage you to get out. Like for me, I had my family, I had my friends. Yes, I'm going to be honest with you. I did not listen to them in the beginning. I didn't. But when you know, you know. And sometimes it takes 7 years to realize. Sometimes it takes 2 weeks. Sometimes it takes 30 seconds. But you will eventually get out because at the end of the day, you deserve more. You deserve the best and you deserve nothing less than what the other person's treating you like, because you are gold. Okay, at the end of the day, you are gold, and no one can dim your light. No one. Okay, not your partner, not your husband, not your boyfriend. No one. And you just have to realize that you need to learn to love yourself. And I think that's what happened in the 2 months that I was like, oh my God, who am I? Like, who this girl? Like, you know, yeah. I completely forgot about myself. I just like kind of like what's the word? Reincarnated. Like
you rediscovered yourself and you like rose from the ashes. Yeah, you resurrected.
I was literally a phoenix. Like I was like a phoenix, just like, just came out of nowhere.
Rose from the ashes.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, no, I think that's absolutely beautiful and brilliant and such an important first and foremost, thank you for sharing something so personal
Yeah.
and so
I
powerful.
didn't
And
cry this time because I'm just like, I was thinking about it. I'm like, what am I crying about? It's in the past. I'm in such a good place, like, so
you've come
yeah.
so far. You've really, really risen from the ashes. I think you rose, you got burnt down, and you rose again, but you rose higher and flourished into this wonderful, brilliant, beautiful human being that you are. Whether lucky is in your life or not, I think you rebuilt yourself, and lucky was just that beautiful cherry on top for you.
It
And
was.
I think the relationship that you guys have and what you guys share is just very inspiring for a lot of people in terms of the type of relationship that everybody deserves. I think it's very important for people to realize and recognize that. I mean, I myself was in a relationship, a very abusive relationship, and it's really interesting. We think that our parents will not have our backs and we think that we're going to disappoint them. Sometimes your parents will really surprise you because we've got to recognize that our parents have lived through all these ages that we are going through right now and have been through. And as much as they're very
Exactly.
strict, we're not open about our relationships with them a lot of times, or yeah, we're like hiding the relationship, and we're definitely not going to go tell them if we're in an abusive relationship. They're going to spot the signs that you're not well or something's not right, and they want the best for you regardless of how they show that to you, whether they yell at you. Some parents will
Yeah.
smack you,
Yeah.
and I'm not
Yeah.
endorsing
At the
that.
end of the
Or
day, yeah, they just want the best for you and they just want for you to be happy. That's the most important
exactly.
thing. Yeah.
Exactly. And if you are in a household where you don't have very supportive parents, try and reach out to your siblings or close friends. Talk to somebody that you can trust and let them know about what you're going through. And I think what was very interesting about your relationship was that little break that you guys took. So, in between the engagement being broken off and you
Yeah.
taking that 2 month break and then going back, I think
Yeah.
that 2 month break showed you what your life can be like without, I don't know, being held down by him, like being padlocked to the ground and not being able to do the things that you wanted to do and express yourself. And it's hard, okay? It's harder than what we're saying right now. And I know it's so easy to stay stuck and think that this is the person for you, or you've got to stay with them because you're afraid of what they're going to do. And I get a lot of messages about girls that have partners that will threaten them with pictures, phone calls. But nothing is as bad as settling. Whether your nudes get out or whether somebody trashes your reputation,
Mhm.
nothing is as bad as settling for a really, really bad relationship or marriage. Get out.
100%. I remember my ex, even, you know what the crazy part is? Even after everything, like we broke up, I started dating Lucky. He literally called my house every single night and said the most nastiest things to my dad. My dad, like, obviously, when your dad's, I don't know what, we would talk about this one day, but my dad, he drinks, okay?
Yeah.
And at nighttime, like when he calls, he will literally start yelling at him, and then my ex will like yell at him, and then my ex will say, like really uutta saman, basically, like, and so I remember, like, for a good 4 months before my wedding, he was harassing us via telephone. He'd come in front of our house. He'd get other people to call. It was just so bad. And I remember, like, I wasn't the type of person that I wanted to call the cops. Okay. Yes, I hated him. I hated what he did to me, but I didn't want to ruin his life. Okay. At the end of the day, like, that's how my parents raised me, like, and so even though, like, we were being severely harassed, I still ended up doing that. So, and I asked Lucky, I'm like, is this gonna be a make or break for you? Like, because he is gonna bother us, and God knows he might even bother us after the wedding. Are you okay with this? And he's like, Sindu, I am telling you, you should call the cops, but I also respect your decision. If you want to go through this, and just like, I will be here with you, And so eventually I remember, I had contacted his sister-in-law, and I talked to her, and I said, this is the last time. If he calls again, I am going to go to the cops. And I think they talked to him and whatever, and it ended up being resolved. And he actually stopped, even like it was literally a week before our wedding, he stopped. But at the end of the day, he talked about things that I never want my dad to hear. But I had to go through that. Unfortunately, I had to go through that to have this guy eliminated from my life permanently, and I know it's easier said than done, because a lot of you must be so scared, like, to even have your parents even hear the most vulnerable side of you. Like, I can completely understand, because trust me, I was there. My dad didn't talk to me for 2 months because he was so like, if he was so cringed by it, like, he's just like,
Yeah.
my daughter, he kept saying that, he's like, my daughter, like, but at the end of the day, I had to go through that to make my life better, like to be in a happy life. Like, unfortunately, some of the things that you have go through, you just have to go through just so you can live a better life.
You've just got to rip that band-aid off, just because
Yeah.
that 2 months that your dad didn't talk to you is 2 months. And now you have years of such a happy marriage with somebody that loves you and adores you, and your parents love and adore. And that 2 months is nothing now. So
Yeah.
I think that's a really, really great message. If you are in a really, really toxic relationship, do your best to get out as soon as
Yeah.
possible. You do not deserve to be abused verbally, physically, emotionally, financially. You deserve to be loved. You also need to be a partner who does not abuse verbally, physically, emotionally, spiritually, financially. You've
Yeah.
got to be in a relationship where somebody brings out the best in you and you bring out the best in them. That includes your relationship with yourself. Outside of a relationship with somebody else, the relationship you have with yourself is definitely the most important. Make sure you are in a good place where you love yourself before you even enter into another relationship, because that's a whole different ball game.
Yeah. Yeah. 100%.